Okay, guys, so I wanted to talk about AI. Now, I use a lot of AI. We're going to be doing AI classes this week for Midjourney. We're going to be talking about Midjourney, the free app that you can use to create artwork, and how we can learn from it. Can we learn from it? I mean, it's debatable, isn't it? Can we learn from AI? No, not really. I don't think AI teaches us anything new because it relies on everything from the past. And even if you ask AI, to predict the future, it can only predict it according to the formula of the past, that's how it learns. The idea that AI can take over our jobs it's been really featuring in our press here in the UK this week. We had Elon Musk over, and our Prime Minister hosted a thing at Bletchley House, which is where they cracked the German codes in the Second World War. So that's why it was done there, because AI is all about code, isn't it? Now, because everybody's frightened that they're going, what can AI do? And I'm not frightened of AI at all. It doesn't frighten me an iota. I do use it a lot, and I know full well that I can produce something in 2 hours that once would have taken me a week, to draw from start to finish. Now I use AI. It draws my rough for me. It fuses old drawings that I have. It can improve old drawings that I put in or change them up a bit. It can fuse 2 old drawings that I've done that I really like. It can meld them together and create a third piece. All of these things. These are the things that my mind used to do, and then my hands would try and do in as short a time as possible because I wanted to sell something at the end of the week, yeah? So for me, AI is a godsend, an absolute godsend. But what you find is you may have more to sell, for example, but now you've got to spend a lot more time trying to sell it. And therefore, you're actually working harder on your marketing because you've got to market all this stuff. Now, the thing is with artists, everybody's got all this stuff. So we're all, we've all got all this AI stuff and what have you, and we're all really good artists suddenly. And therein starts to be a problem because it's devalued, isn't it? Because everyone can do it. What's the value of it? So I just wanted really to talk about the fact that what makes art unique and beautiful is your hand. It's not a machine. No matter how, I don't think the machine's ever going to take over the human hand. I don't think it can. I may be wrong. I don't know. I mean, I have done some pieces with it that have worked really well as quite striking paintings. But the thing is, when you blow them up, you can see pixels. But when you blow up a person's artwork, you see paint, or you see the printed dot if it's a print. Do you see what I mean? But I really do think that what AI cannot do are things like crafted items, so sculpture, sewing, embroidery, 3-dimensional. Of course, AI and machine tech can do 3D laser cutting and all of that now, but it couldn't do what you could do if you got a piece of wood and started chipping away at it. So I was thinking about all this week, and really that's why that's why I've launched my labels, because actually the clothes, AI can make the clothes, AI can print the clothes up. So all of my AI printed items in my shop are very digitally based, even though there's a lot of drawing in them at some point. And they can be copied, because the nature of printing is that it can be copied, always. But what AI couldn't do was find a piece of vintage clothing, paint it white, and decorate it in a graffiti style by hand, in a calligraphic style that is my own. And that's what artists do. All artists have a style. You know, if you write a word down on a piece of paper, if you've got 5 million people to write it down, they would all look different. All of those words would be completely different. And that's true with art. Now, if you ask an AI to do 1 million versions, it would do the same. But it couldn't repeat. Well, if you asked it to do them exactly the same, then it could. But a human being is so stylized in what they do and the movement of their flesh and bones and arms and what have you. And I really think that finding a bit of a niche that you're really good at artistically and making sure that AI can't take it over is going to make you feel much more confident about your future. Because if you think as an artist, there's no point in me doing this because AI could do it, then you are actually going to be really miserable. And people are thinking that about their jobs, But the creative industries are relatively safe from AI because actually being creative is not what AI is good at. It can't be creative. You can be creative. Now, I don't really know if they are ever going to be able to teach AI to be creative. I work with AI all the time on my blogs, so I work with ChatGPT. I work with AI Midjourney to generate my sketches and generate my preliminary works, and it's boring. It's so boring. And this is the thing with humans. They're not boring. Humans are not one-dimensional. Humans are very, very much multifaceted, individualistic people. We're unpredictable, very unpredictable. Depends what day of the week it is, what the weather's like, what side of bed we got out of, who we're having a bad relationship with, who we're having a good relationship with. All of these things are so dependent before we even create something, be it 3D work, be it drawing on clothes. And I love this idea that I'm painting clothes now, and it did make me feel quite savage because I work with digital media all the time, and it's very clean media, it's very tidy media. And the idea of, getting an old shirt or something and slapping white paint on it and then scribbling all over it, because that's what I'm doing, it does seem quite savage-like. Do you know what I mean? It was really kind of raw. But the thing I really like about that is that AI can't do that. AI cannot walk into my studio and grab a bit of clothing and then do all that. Now, one day, maybe it will, but I don't think that's going to happen until I retire. Okay, I just don't think that's going to happen. They're certainly working to make virtual robots, not virtual, rather actual robots. They're trying to make women robots. They're trying to make robots for the army. They use robots to build cars. In industry, they're using robots all over the place. But the idea of making an android that can come in and, go to a charity shop, buy something that looks interesting, bring it home, think about for a few days, get inspired, and then get out my paints, and then, depending on what mood I'm in, create something. Do you see what I mean? I don't think that AI is going to be able to do that for a very long time. But I tell you what I do think. I do think that branding is really important. And I do know that some AI have been branded and people have bought into them. I think there's been some anime characters or something, or it's Korean stuff. I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention. And there's also, of course, there was the one, I forgot what her name was. There was one in this country and she was making art. And I actually quite liked her art, but I'd never buy it. I mean, it's a novelty. It's a novelty. But really, what you're buying into when you buy anything is a brand. So if AI or an android, and intelligent Android was branded correctly to young people as a musician, or to art collectors as a potential investment, then I do think it would in the future have some appeal and become, their work would be valued. But I think that's a long way off. But in the meantime, I mean, technically iServalan is only half human. It's half human, half Android. So in a way, I'm sitting on the fence here. I'm marketing myself as a human, but also the future as iServalan, because I know that one day I'm going to retire, but I want my brand to carry on. And if you think about it, when you're talking about people like Disney, or concepts like Disney, brands like Disney, and all the artwork, that's Disney, and the copyright, the intellectual property rights that are connected with all art that is Disney, that's a similar thing. So it's almost like the copyright and the brand, it's almost irrelevant what's being made. I mean, a lot of Disney art isn't made by hand anymore. It's all computer generated. I mean, I assume there's some handwork in it somewhere, but it'll all be computerized. So that's kind of, that's the same, isn't it? That's kind of the same. That's AI being branded, being valued and sold for a lot of money, because you're not allowed to copy Disney. Do you see what I'm saying? So those are the kind of things I was toying with yesterday when I was thinking about, people, especially artists, so what are we going to do? But I think the creative industries are the safest of all. Ironically, because people think that now you don't need to be an artist, you can just go and press some buttons and your AI is going to create something. Well, AI doesn't create interesting things. It just doesn't. So I don't think it's a threat. But I do think what you have to do if you want to be a successful, and remembering I'm not a particularly successful artist per se, what I think you need to do to market yourself is to have something that AI doesn't have. Do you see what I mean? And that is ingenuity. That is exploration, unusualness, unexpectedness, all of these things. And also, I think that might be a bit of craft. So looking at crafting art. And that for me is quite interesting, because historically crafting, which has been a very female thing, hasn't been valued. It's just anything that takes a long time, and you're sitting there, with a thimble or perhaps wood carvings, and all of these things, they haven't necessarily had any value. But I actually think now that those things will have more value. I don't think bad crafting will have more value, and I don't think bad art will have more value. But I think good art and good crafting will increase in value. But I do think that you need to prove to your audience or to your buyer or your client that actually what you have is better than what AI can do. Do you see? So there we go. Those are my thoughts today. And back to podcasting tomorrow. We're on a roll. The website's all set up. It looks absolutely splendid. Pop over there, learn how to draw. Learn to draw with iServalan. It is really me. And we had great fun today. Absolutely wonderful doing daisies with the pens that I got from France. Really superb day. So see you over there, guys. You can chat on the chat box as well.